Hi guys, welcome to Basement Supercar Build, the channel where we see if an average guy like me can design and build his own mid-engine car. This video will be a highlights video of the work that was finished this week. If you want to see the actual work take place, watch the full-length video for this week. And with that out of the way, let's get started on this week's video.
Here's a quick little update. I welded the crossbar on top of the tube that I cut. You can see here it jogs up 2 inches, which is very close to how the factory C7 Corvette is manufactured and how this heating and air box is mounted. So you can see here that I've got it installed. I put the rivet nuts in, got it screwed to it temporarily. I've got clearance underneath here for this tubing ductwork to bolt down on top of this and go up underneath to the bottom of the dash. Clearance on this end. This thing is it's swung out slightly at the bottom toward the rear of the car. It's hitting here. This tube is a drain tube for water condensation out of the box. So I have to cut a hole through the tubing and pipe that through and then down outside the bottom of the car. This is a mounting hole post. This should swing all the way forward and touch this tube, and then I'll drill a hole for the bolt to bolt that solid to keep it from swinging. That'll bring all of these fittings perfectly vertical, and I'm going to cut and make an aluminum plate, something thin, maybe an 1/8 inch or even a little less, and weld on top of this tube, cut out the shape of this for it to poke through. There's another mounting bolt over here on the other side. It'll bolt to that plate, hold this end completely still, and then these fittings will be sticking through that plate and allow me to bolt the receiving end of those fittings on from out here under the hood of the car, and that is the hookups for the air conditioner and the heater core. And then we'll have a fresh air vent here pulling air from somewhere, either the front of the car or maybe down to the fender well or something. Most likely the front of the car. But that's what we have accomplished so far this morning. And I'm going to go ahead and mark these holes here for this tube and this mounting post and get that pulled up tight and mounted in the correct location, and then I'll start working on this aluminum plate over here. So let's get started doing those things. I wanted to show you what I'm making here. This will be a plate that welds onto the chassis, and this is just where this junction area comes through the firewall, and I'm taking around these corners. I won't leave the sharp corners. This is a bolt where it bolts to this bracket, and then the heater core and air conditioner brackets will bolt onto this. I will get this lined up exactly correct where it mates up to that surface, which this is really close, and then I'll weld this to that frame. I have 2 gussets I'll weld on, one over here on this edge, it'll strengthen that piece, and then one probably just inside this bolt here, and I think that'll be plenty good to support all of that. It's not carrying a lot of load, it's just a junction area. The foam obviously seals the hole from the outside of the car to the inside of the car, and once this is bolted down snug, it compresses that foam and makes that area sealed off really nice. The carbon fiber tub of the car will be just on the inside of this plate. It'll sit up against it, and we'll obviously have to contour slightly to come around and touch the backside of this tube here at this connection, because there's a bolt that goes through the tubing here. But kind of see that's what it looks like, and so far I'm happy with this, but I'm probably going to wait until these pieces that attach here come in, which may be today and it may be Monday. I want to make sure they're going to have clearance and miss all these gussets before I weld the gussets in. But it's looking good so far. This is what we have for today. I just had some parts arrive today that I wasn't sure if they were going to come or not, but they did. And this is the fitting that goes on the back of this heating and air box that connects to the heater core. And I cut the tubes off, they're way too long, and I'm gonna see if I can roll a bead here on the ends of these two tubes with my bead rolling tool I made. And this will bolt here, and I'll probably actually cut these way back to here, but then the rubber tubes that connect to the pipes will go here and loop around and then connect down in here where these tubes come out. But see if we can roll a bead on these. I'm gonna try it on, that's why I've left them long. I'm gonna try it on this long piece here first and see if it works, and then if it does, I'll go ahead and cut that back shorter and roll a bead. So I received in a shipment of air conditioner parts today. You can see I've got one of them sitting here where it goes attached to the this air box here. Just trying to figure out which hoses goes to where. Here's the rest of the hoses that came in. I have kind of a mismatch of parts because the engine came out of a 2007 Chevy Avalanche. So the air conditioner mount and the air compressor both fit that Avalanche. But everything up front here came out of a Corvette C7. So I've got fittings for both vehicles, and I'll have to cut and splice these hoses and lengthen them, of course, because the compressor's in the rear of the car. And I also have a parts list here of what all I've ordered and what I need to hook this up. And if I ordered correctly, I know I'm missing one part, but if I ordered correctly, that is the only part I'll be missing, and I'll have everything here I need to bolt everything together, and then I'll have to figure out exactly where I'm going to splice these lines and how long I need to make them. But I'm hoping I can measure that distance and take these to some kind of a hose fabrication shop, and they can put all of this together for me. But let me get started trying to place these hoses and attach them and see exactly what I'm missing and how they're going to lay, which direction I need to route them. So here's what I've got on this. I've mounted this attachment here, made a weldment, screwed this to it, so that is very solid. Got a piece of rubber here between these two because they touch. It's an insulator. These two water lines will come down and loop around, go back to the tunnel. This line will bolt on, and I've cut the other end off, but my thoughts are they can make a splice just like this crimp here, make me a hose a certain length, and then crimp one end to this hose and one end splice it in the back to the compressor. This goes back to the compressor. I am missing one hose assembly, which I was pretty sure that I was. This hose assembly will bolt here and come up, and it has rubber lines on it, so it'll be easy to change the size and length. It comes up and bolts to the, this is the condenser, I believe. I'm not real familiar with air conditioner. This is either the condenser or the evaporator. I think the evaporator is in the box and the condenser is here, but I may be backwards. But then the outlet from this evaporator or condenser, whichever, is this hose, which will splice and run back through the tunnel to the compressor. And I have the two lines bolted here to the compressor. And I had to cut them, so it'll splice onto here and run to the front of the car. And the other one comes forward and down. I've got to reshape this a little bit more, but I had to reshape it quite a bit to get it to fit in here at all. But I think I can splice onto this rubber line and loop this around. It'll be out of the way of the motor and come up through the tunnel. And I've got some shaping and sizing and routing to figure out, but I believe all this will work. I've just got to find somewhere that can make me these hoses and crimp it all together once I know the right length measurements. So that's what we have. I'm happy with all of this. I think I can make all of this work. Got some spare parts here just in case. That's the hoses that I cut off. Most of these fittings are very common sizes, so if I run into something like this, both of these would plug into the same place. You can see this, one's bent and one's straight. So if I run into something I need a different angle on, I've got some spare components. But everything's looking okay. And I think I'm done for the day. Tomorrow I have a 100-pound package coming in with all of the wiring and electronic devices to hopefully wire most all of the car except for the engine. I'll have to have an engine management system that's separate, that's programmable, not a factory one. But everything else, I've got all the factory wiring harnesses and electronics control boxes, and it's supposed to be everything coming in a big package tomorrow. And it will take me forever to figure out the wiring diagrams and how everything plugs in and functions, but I think I can do it. And I guess that's it for today.